Hey, folks, I'm the amazing Vito, and I'm here with the one and only world famous hypnotist, the amazing Boris Cherniak, everybody. Thank you, Boris, for being here.
Thank you, Vito. Great to be with you.
Could I just say a few things to start off here? Boris is appeared on television sets not only in North America but all over the world. Okay, he is also gone overseas for the troops. He has met and worked with big celebrities. He has had his own comedy clubs. Uh, God, he's had TED Talks. If you, we're gonna show. I'm not gonna show the TED Talk, but I'm gonna show just what can Boris do. Just a little bit of a little sample of what he could do. I think you'll be absolutely. If you didn't think hypnotism works, when you see this, uh, you'll go, "Wow!" This is pretty amazing. Boris, I went to a hypnotist and it didn't do anything for me. I can't be hypnotized. Is that
Well,
is that is
there's
that
no such thing. Everybody can be hypnotized. Some people take a little bit longer. Some people take a little bit shorter. In a stage performance, a lot of times people will be sent back just because there's not enough time. So
so
as a hypnotist, I pick the best person out of the bunch to be the star of the show.
so when you're looking for a victim,
Volunteer.
a volunteer, what is it that just do you just how do you know? Because I've seen that where you'll walk around, you'll look at them, and just go, hey, look at me, and then all of a sudden, just by looking at them, you're like, I'll move on to you. All right, let's go. You. How do you what do you how do you know that this person is gonna be um
A great subject.
yeah.
People exhibit different signs, everything from taking things completely literally, and that's one of the greatest parts about doing hypnosis is people do not question; they actually respond completely to your commands. Perfect example: I was performing, where was it, St. Lucia, and told a gentleman to pick a chair, grab a chair. Regular way of saying, "Go ahead and sit down." Being literal, he simply picked up the chair. So that kind of stood out in my mind as how little people get. So until you present it in a proper form, just think of your mind as a computer, and it processes different suggestions literally, just like they are in a computer program. So what I do is figure out a way to get into a person's mind and control their environment. And all they do is literally react to the environment, but they exhibit different signs. Everything from your breath will slow down to the ability to have the blood flow rush to the skin. If you've ever seen women who would get excited having a blotchy chest, that's one of the signs that blood has rushed to the surface, and you're able to manipulate something because the mind controls every little part of your body. And I'm able to zoom in on that and figure out, okay, this is the proper moment to give you a suggestion.
What do you mean blotchy chest? What do you mean?
Uh, when blotchy, meaning there's parts of the chest that somebody who is well, the mind sends blood flow to certain parts of the body, and the blotchy chest, I call it blotchy chest. It's not necessarily blotchy. It becomes red in parts.
Okay.
So I look for those little signs, and or eyes rolling back, and or the ability to concentrate on a specific command and to what extent they respond. So
Now,
there's just like in a comedy show, you will have a bunch of test jokes. I have a bunch of test suggestions.
now you are like one guy I went to hypnotist tell help me quit smoking from a pack a day. He has me up to two, but when when I went to him, he he said, okay, he gave me a bunch of papers to sign, and he said, listen, nothing. This is I said, what's this for? And he said, this is so nothing sexual, like there's no there, because nothing sexual is going to happen, okay, because some people,
Did anything happen?
well, I am, 9 months later, we have a little, where is he, come here, you little. So what happened, he just said, it just protects me, so then that way, uh like nothing fishy is going to happen, because
Right. You do everything out of your own volition. Understandable.
because I remember it was in the news. This is years ago, Boris, where a hypnotist at a wedding party ended up uh, hypnotizing, I guess, one of the people in the wedding party, and he had sex with somebody and was charged. And he was a hypnotist they brought in, and uh, to me, that's evil. Have you like? Is that even is that even possible? To hypnotize a woman. I know this sounds perverted, or anybody you want, and say, listen, I want you take off your clothes. Will they take off their clothes completely?
Well,
If
I'll tell you this. I've given that example on other occasions where a hypnotist only suggests, the person actually acts out. So if they wouldn't be able to do something in the first place, they wouldn't be able to do it under hypnosis. A hypnotist removes inhibitions, and all they do is through power of suggestions, and that's all it is, a suggestion that is being given to the person. However, people react to what the environment is, what their reality is. And a hypnotist can change the reality. So if your reality changes, you react accordingly. So a perfect example would be, like you're saying, a woman taking off her clothes. And yes, it sounds perverted, but let's address it head on. If I tell somebody you are about to take a shower, the most natural thing for a person to do is to take off the clothes before they get into the shower. So if you change the situation, that can be done. And a skilled hypnotist can do absolutely anything to, well, there's also the trust issues, just like what you're saying. But for me, I always perform in front of large audiences. So it's never been an issue that behind the scenes come on with me. It's more of a way to be able to showcase the powers of the mind. And I specifically add another little bonus. I add a positive twist to it. So look what how much fun this is and what I can do with your mind, but also you can do with your mind as far as improving your self-esteem, whether that maybe quit smoking, you want to change the situation in your brain. And you mentioned TED Talks. One of the TED Talks that I started with, do you listen to the voices in your head? You can change those voices in your head to the positive ones rather than looking at the negative side of things. So yes, anything is possible in anybody's skilled hands. So whether you're molding a figurine or whether you're molding a mind.
That's beautiful. Thank God I taped this so I could listen to that after and make sure. That's very, very poetic, and it makes a lot of sense, because I've been watching a lot of, I don't want this to be dark, but a lot of I love watching documentaries. And
Mhm.
there was a documentary of these gurus, and they said how they would manipulate people to get them, because you would sit there and go, how in the hell do you give this person all your money and you do everything this person says? And it turns out that he was using techniques. He was pretty much hypnotizing his followers, in a closed environment. They were in, and it was disturbing, because I was like, I would never do that. I would never do that. And then these people,
You do.
years
That's I'm going to stop you right there.
no, but years
People
later,
don't realize they're being hypnotized
yes,
all the time.
but years like after these people were like, I can't believe I did that. Like I couldn't believe I gave this guy all my money, and I worked for free for this person for years, and this guy was a doctor.
Mhm.
Like we're talking, these are not dumb people. So if if when they go, people have superpowers, hypnotists have a superpower.
Oh, we do. Are you kidding me? But once you figure out how hypnosis works, you can actually take a look around you. And it's not just, you're talking about documentaries where people are manipulated to either give away their money or be part of something. Everybody's looking for a magic trick. And that's the way a lot of those from the religious figures to politics to I cannot watch commercials the same way as an average person because I know what they're trying to do and what they're manipulating. The most amazing thing that you will see, like women jumping around at a pool with a commercial for a beer party and a beer that they're holding in their hand. It's actually half naked women do not equal beer. They're just trying to acquaint a constant repetition of a good time and the appearance of a good time to a specific brand. So that's called branding at the best level, but it's that simple. It's not more than that. And once you use the words to manipulate the environment, people tend to buy into that environment. And I feel a bit disheartened when I see stories of that and have been uh, part of looking at some of the stuff on the larger scale, where uh, even the religious sects will recruit others to be part of it. I'm not going to name any names, but as far as you are able to look for a beauty in yourself rather than what somebody else offers. So when you find that beauty within yourself, you can uh, actually see past somebody else's bad idea of let's see how we can get away with, uh, taking advantage of this situation.
Now, you that's well said. Um, See, I always, this is the beauty of this show. I always interview people. See, I'm a genius, but I pretend to be an idiot. So, uh,
No
uh,
such thing.
I, very, I interview some pretty smart people. Uh, Now, Boris, do you ever? And I'm going to show a clip of what Boris can do. Um, 1 second. Uh, do you ever get where people are scared of you, where they just go, "Wait a minute, you're a hypnotist. I don't want to talk to your," because I've seen that happen. I've worked with a
I did too. Yes,
I,
of
I've
course.
I've worked with a hypnotist on a circuit, and he had people like, I remember a woman just saying, "I want nothing to do with you. I don't. She was really scared. Is that ever happened to you?
It has. And yet, even on stage, I actually made a living being sort of an anti-hypnotist, meaning I do not play the part even on stage where look into my eyes, right? I found this is even earlier on. I actually got dropped by an agent at some point in time when uh, I created a character that they were not able to see past that. Earlier on, I found an agent who was willing to handle my stuff in the colleges, and eventually they came to the show that I was performing at. And one of the parts of my routine where I would create a whole, if you remember way back when, the Arsenio Hall show.
Yes.
And I actually talked to Arsenio a little while ago about it, which I thought was kind of funny, and even put that in my book, where the whole story is talking about it, where I recreated the Arsenio Hall show on my stage, where one person was the Arsenio Hall celebrity impersonator, if you like, to where Arsenio would have guests. and the audience was the dog pound, people screaming roof, 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 down to people hypnotized who were thinking they were security. So every time I would walk by the Arsenio character off the microphone, I will tell them I'm ruining your show. I'm interfering with your show. So I would go back and forth, but off the microphone, we'll give a few proper suggestions. Eventually, Arsenio gets a little bit upset with me and has the security guys take me off the stage, but the show continues without me.
That's wonderful.
Right, so that was my idea of this. But the agent said, I'm sorry, I can't represent you because you lost control on stage. And as a hypnotist, I thought that was funny. So I started writing. This is going back over 30 years. So I started writing for that character, a hypnotist that loses control. And that became what people see. I'm not forceful. I'm sort of cutesy and lovable as a character on stage that I want people to see. So I play around with that character where stuff happens behind my back to me being completely oblivious to it. But back then, the agent decided I can't represent you because I can't trust you with the people, but they weren't able to see past the reality of what I created. And I don't think it was brilliant. I just thought it was clever and different that nobody else was doing. And I became that guy that stood out. That's what got me to the point where I am now, where I was not your regular hypnotist. So even if I'll give you a perfect example. A TV show would have 15 people that they were looking at when they were looking for a hypnotist. I stood out. I was completely different. I was not like everybody else. And it wasn't a regular forceful character on stage. It was this quirky character that they were able to present that did not fit the mold. And I enjoyed being a part of that mold. I was not like everybody else. And that's what got me to the point where I'm at. But I'm almost thankful to that agent for opening my eyes to be able to see the capabilities of what I was presenting rather than it just being a routine.
Now, did the agent see the act, or you just
Yeah, the
told them?
agent was in the audience. They were watching the act, and it was so seamless because I had time to practice it well before they came to see me. And that literally, because the following day I called the agent up. Oh my God, it was such a great show. I'm so excited that they were that you were able to see this, only to be told
Yeah.
a completely different story. So I found many agents since who were able to see past that. But we're talking, like I said, it was 20, 30 years
You
ago.
should have
So
hypnotized the agent. You should say, "You get me work. You get me tons of
no
work."
need. I love people who are on the same wavelength as me and are able to represent uh, something that is completely not uh, straight and narrow. I like to deviate and did that throughout most of my life.
Yes, that's yeah, and we'll get into that. I quickly want to show Boris, with your permission, can I show
Absolutely. Show
picture?
anything you want to. Glad to be seen.
I hope this is not, I was looking at an adult movie a second ago, and I hope I don't hit that.
Hope it's the right one. Yes.
Okay, now let's play it. Let me turn it down just a tad. So if you need to speak, you could speak, okay?
Okay.
Okay, that music, I gotta, or else they're gonna nail me with the music. Okay, look at that. Okay, and look, okay, so Boris works with children too, and I've seen Boris work with
Well,
children,
usually college age.
colleges, but you also work with like people from all ages, right? I'm not talking,
Absolutely.
I'm not talking, you know, 10-year-olds. I'm talking, you could tell these are, for me, when I'm
Well, high
50,
school and college age and above usually.
yes.
Just because the younger ones, their reality is not completely set yet.
Yeah, but they're all having a great time. You could tell they're all having a wonderful time. I love when you walk by and you're like, you're out. They just, I wish I could do that to my wife. Look at the guy in the back. Look, they're all out. Okay, I got to turn this up. Hold on. Oh, yeah. This is good. Okay. Look at it. People are having a blast.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
There's no better feeling than being in control of somebody else's life.
Let's talk about oranges. Let's say I have 3 oranges. Right. Chuck has 3 oranges. Not you, a friend of mine. How does it feel when your talents, somebody says no? Because in life, somebody will get a chance to say no. It feels like crap, Steve. Sometimes you just gotta say yes. Sometimes you gotta say no, you gotta go with the flow. My name's not Steve. That's okay.
Well, there's the TED Talk. Those are the Murray Show. It just for laughs. It's been all over the world, folks.
I found a job that lets me travel the world, except for this pandemic thing that kind of stopped me in my tracks.
Yeah, but what I enjoy, and when I watched it with my wife, and she always said something uh, that I loved, that I'm going to use. It's controlled chaos,
That's the best way to describe it. Thank you.
and it's just like people, to have somebody say something that you would not normally do, and you end up doing it and not making, I mean, I've watched your show. You never make anybody, you don't make them feel stupid. You don't make them feel, you just sit there and say, hey, you're Superman or wherever you are, and you're the best at what you could, you're the best. And you just see this person that was shy, wouldn't say boo, all of a sudden stand there and go, I'm Superman, in front of in front of a crowd, which for a fact that one of the leading things that people are scared to do is to speak in front of a large crowd. So some people even say they rather die than speak in front of a
One
large.
of the most amazing Jerry Seinfeld quotes. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
You'd rather be in the casket than doing the eulogy.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you do shows like that, and I mean, there's a reason why he does the TED Talks and he does all these shows. I mean, he plays Abu Dhabi for those rich guys. I mean, those guys pay a lot of coinage. So there's a reason why celebrities go to him, and I'm not going to get into, he doesn't need to get into why, but he there's a trust issue that they just sit there and go, I could trust him. There's a reason why we call him back, and there's a reason why he plays the corporates, which corporates are the ones that are where companies like a Ford or whatever will say, hey, we want a great show. We're going to call the amazing Boris, and they do year after year after year. So that must be something that, how does your confidence level not just go, I'm the best? How do you stay grounded?
I've never considered myself the best. I'm just a guy that loves more than anything else what I do. And I've never, the gauge on my stage has always been never to embarrass or degrade anybody, but empower. So when you approach it with that specific attitude, it becomes, I'm not there to take advantage. I'm just loving what I do. And it's almost like the in joke that's happening between me, the audience, and even the people on stage, because people at the end will walk away in a better mood, better attitude, having participated in whatever I have created. So for me, it's thank you for stepping into my silly world. And I've been always incredibly creative. So all I do is thank them for enjoying my creativity. The rest, the stars of the show are the people on stage and not me. I've never wanted the accolades. I just wanted people to appreciate the craft. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. So to me, this is well over 10,000 shows in 4 decades, literally all over the world. So,
Yeah.
love every single part of it, but the actual shows are a tiny little portion of getting to it. And it took a long time, whether it's travel to creation of a routine that you get a chance to finally see.
Yeah. That's the thing I wanted to ask you. You know, you've been doing it for four decades, 40 years. That's what decades are, by the way. I got to remember that. So, uh, when did you sit there and say, I want to be a hypnotist? Where did you go? Because 40 years ago, I don't think like today, people have a cell phone where you look up hypnotists, you call them up. Hey, how, back then we're talking people had, you had a pigeon that you would write a little note, put them on, and hopefully it goes to a hypnotist.
It's true. And the phones were attached to some part of by a cord. Yeah.
With a empty cup. Hello?
Right. As a kid, as a teenager, I read a book, and the book was called The Search for Bridey Murphy by a guy named Maury Bernstein. It's about a gentleman who regresses a lady past her birth, and she becomes another character, calls herself Bridey Murphy, and from, I believe, 17 or 1800s, and recounts names, places, facts, events, everything. But the session was recorded by the hypnotist, and he ends up going to verify all of the things that she talks about, and they happen to be true. So as an inquisitive kid, I wanted to know more. So I needed to know everything I could find about hypnosis at the time. And thankfully, at the time, I had access to York University's library. And I pretty well read everything on that floor. And those were actual books for those youngsters that are watching that would Google stuff. I read pretty well everything on the psychology, hypnosis, or anything within that realm that was available. And I would say that was probably the thousands of books. So I learned about hypnosis beforehand when I started learning it after the fact. Then going to school afterwards, I studied computers and psychology, both at York University.
You have a degree in that, yeah.
And Seneca College. So my background is computers and psychology. And I literally took and combined both of them, where I believe that the mind is a computer that can be given instructions, whether it's about your well-being or what you're going to do and how you're going to do stuff. So I took that, and later on, I got certified as a hypnotherapist, but I literally learned how to hypnotize as a layman by curiosity. I wanted to know more. How is that possible? Nobody can control my mind, never mind anybody else's. So I approached it that way, and got the questions and answers from the books, from other people's attitudes. There was no Googling at that point in time, but as a teenager, I needed to know more, and started playing around at house parties, and later on built a show And at one of those house parties, there was a friend who said, "Hey, my dad owns a little club. Would you come and perform over there?" So I said, "Sure." And funny enough, I wrote a ton of material. And halfway through the required time, I believe I was supposed to be there for an hour performing, but I ran out of material by about 20 minutes, half an hour. So I
Wow.
repeated the material because I didn't know any better. And it was funnier the second time around, just because I could milk the laughter again and again. And it was funny to people that I ran out of material. Well, mind you, there was probably 20, 30 people in the place at the time,
Okay.
I'm assuming. But I found the value of something being funny over and over again, and funnier if you present it in a different manner. So actually, years later, and this is a little bit closer to your neck of the woods, I was hired to perform at the Holiday Inn in Brampton. A gentleman named Gary Gamble was at the fort of that place and would book me weekly, but I was young and didn't know any better. So every time I performed, and I believe I was supposed to be on from 8 till 12,
Eight,
or
8 o'clock till 12
you
o'clock.
heard me right, yeah, with maybe a 10-minute break to sell more drinks at the time. So I would write a brand new show each time that I performed. Like I said, I didn't know any better. So over the years, that actually helped me because I wrote a ton of material at the time that became my bag of tricks. And whenever I might even be stuck, I have a routine available for that specific situation because there's a suitcase full of cool stuff that I can perform with. So every time that you would see me would be a completely different show just because of it. In case I get bored, the only thing that stays the same in the show is just like what you saw is Chip. Earlier on, I had trouble remembering people's names on stage, so I figured I would give them a name,
Yeah.
which I screw up all the way throughout the whole show. And this is my stalling technique while I'm thinking of what I'm going to do next. And oddly enough, it became the staple of the guy that does Chip, because people remember the show by what I did on stage, and I became that guy with by association. So I found that well, there was even a point when I got bored with Chip, so I dropped it. And regular audience members would come to me mad after the show, saying, "I came specifically to see the whole Chip routine, but you didn't do it." So it went back in the show and became even more elaborate.
Yeah, when people expect something beautiful like that, because anytime for me, anybody that makes me laugh, I love them. I when I hear a comic that has passed, uh I'm so depressed, you know, uh because they bring to me laughter, uh it just it makes you for that time that
Yeah.
you're laughing, you forget about everything. So it's just you that gift of laughter, which we need more than anything these days. Uh
I boiled it down to something that I call signature routines. And it's amazing when you say something about somebody. I was actually just referring to somebody else's routine just yesterday. Uh, Mitch Hedberg's stuff came up, and my answer to them was, "What about the Dufresnes?" Which was completely uh, something else that they were asking about. And Mitch Hedberg, who was a brilliant comic, who I had the pleasure of working with and hired at my clubs, but the ability to remember somebody by just a few lines is unbelievable. And there's a few specifically in my life that I could witness. Everybody from guys like Dennis Wolfberg. You may not recognize some of the names. Wendy Liebman, who is a brilliant female comics with throwaway lines that come in after she told the joke, which is absolutely hilarious. Uh, Bobcat Goldthwait,
Yeah, Bobcat Gold.
Stan Kinison, you name it. There's a million people that I whether got a chance to. Dennis Wolpert was probably one of my favorites. John Pinette, where those names may not be recognizable, but Google and find some videos and please watch them. You will thank me later, I promise you.
Yeah. Well, everybody know I love Sam Kinison, and everybody. I think everybody knows who you're talking about.
Yeah, Sam, oddly enough, I got a chance to see him live at the Comedy Store in LA. And I was 19 at the time and dropped in by the Comedy Store. As Sam was doing a guest set after having just done Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield. So that should tell you the time frame. And
Yeah.
I could not believe the whole alphabet routine that those of you watching may not know it.
Yeah. If you
Oh,
ever
right.
want, like, that was something where I remember watching Sam Kinison, just thinking, I've only ever met the women that he slept with. That's how close I came to Sam Kinison. So it was just like, that's my luck. I love the guy, but when you said about forgetting stuff on stage, or remember Tom Stade?
Mhm.
So Tom, out in Hamilton, the Hamilton Club, I never, I don't smoke. I don't like, the marijuana, as they say. And Tom's like, you look a little tense. Let's go for a smoke. And this was the second show, and I went out and smoked a little bit of the happy stuff, and I did the exact same act I told the same joke 3 times, and the only person laughing was in the back was Tom. He's doing somersaults, going, oh, this is the best. He doesn't even know. He kept yelling, he doesn't even know, because I didn't. I was completely, and that's just afterwards. I remember getting off stage going, never again. But that's something where, how do people, when you hypnotize them and you're teaching them uh, a technique, how do they keep that technique? Like, how do you sit there and say, Vito, I want you to stop drinking alcohol. Okay, it's no good for you. It's killing you. It's slowly killing you. And I come to you and I'm like, Boris, I need to stop drinking alcohol. How do you reset the mind to say, you have that little voice in your head saying, don't drink that. You're gonna get in trouble. How do you, like, as you say, the computer, and I believe the mind is a computer. Okay. Mine's a VIC-20 from 1982. That's still,
The kids won't even know what you're talking about.
no, they don't. They look up a VIC-20. You go, oh yeah, that's the
Yeah, and what does that little keyboard do? A VIC-20 was actually one of the first computers that you could barely do anything on, but
horrible.
when the computers got introduced, that was one of the first mass-produced ones.
Yeah. How do you, like, if somebody comes to you and says, Boris, I want to have more confidence. How do, and they, like, I the book Think and Grow Rich. I read that, and there's all these self-help books, but they all make you feel good for about a week or two, and then you just go back to who you know what I mean? Like, just, that's what I noticed, that you just go back to, well, life's still tough. There's no easy way, but those keywords to keep you positive, what do you instill into a person to say, I want you to stay positive? And sometimes you're going to feel down, but this is going to, this is, I want you to think this way, to uh, be happy, not like,
And
how,
don't worry, be happy. Just like the song says, it's the simplicity of getting yourself out of specific loops, and that's actually part of one of my next books that's in the process right now, where we constantly have a soundtrack going on in circles in our mind. So once you're able to break that loop, and all a hypnotist does, figures out how to break through the loop and give you a different loop to be stuck in. So when you know how you hear, well, I want to lose weight and I want to eat better. Well, you should, instead of hamburgers, you should eat salads. And by eating better, it will change the way your body metabolizes, right? So one thing leads to another. The same thing happens in your mind. When I'm able to break that loop in your mind, and all a hypnotist does, he knows the steps how to get from point A to point B, just like with smoking. I do not quit smoking for you. A hypnotist will not be running after you, kicking the cigarettes out of your mouth, right? All we do is give you the ability to reinforce your willpower and improve something about yourself. But you will tell me, well, I stopped smoking and I started eating. Well, guess what? That's another loop. You just change one loop for the next one. So once you're able to figure the process out, you can take the negative parts out and give people the capabilities. I just did a little MP3 for people who want to sleep better. And one of the parts of that the process was you always actually sleep better and stop snoring. The stop snoring part, how do you know that you're snoring? Well, your body is constantly aware, and your ears will let you know even whether you're asleep or awake. But the conscious mind is what turns on and off when you're awake or when you're asleep. As a hypnotist, I get you to be aware of everything that's going on around you. So even with the sleeping, let me ask you an interesting question. Do you fall out of bed at night?
No.
No, and most of us don't. After we've conditioned ourselves, we know where the parameters of the bed are. Right, so your brain always knows. It has the capabilities to access the information. I'm just giving you the tools to access that information easier. So with hypnosis, it's just a matter of turning on that little the straight line that gets you to fix whatever you find is wrong with you. But people often use hypnotists as a magic trick, if you like. Right, so that magic trick where you can fix me, can't you? Can you not do this for me? I don't do anything for you. As a hypnotist, all I do is know how to, just like a comedian, I manipulate words. I'm a wordsmith that is able to change your programming. So once you change the programming, everything else falls into place. So it's not a magic trick. You actually have to do the work, just like and part of that work, whether you realize it or not, is one, trust in the hypnotist. Just like we were talking before, the ability, is there going to be any sexual stuff? Do I need to sign anything? No, you should just implicitly trust the person to be able to guide you to the right part. Will it last 2-3 weeks or longer? It's up to you. Because just like anything else, the first part is taking that step. And how long does it take? It's up to you. I just saw a little meme, if I'm not mistaken, by Elon Musk. If it takes you 3 weeks, if you set 3 weeks to clean your house, it'll take you 3 weeks. If it takes you 3 hours, it'll take you 3 hours. So once you figure that part out, once you're able to consciously and subconsciously take that in, you are able to manipulate the positivity of your life.
Well said. Well, it's true. That's um do, do you have you ever see when you said the parameters of your bed, I'm married, so I got this little sliver. So I could literally
Yes,
I could balance like on the side here, and
I'm familiar with that part myself.
yeah,
Yes,
so
somebody else stealing the blanket, right?
yeah, so I shiver a lot. So my brain says, yes, you do not have a blanket. You should wear your full suit to bed. So have you ever and I've seen you in Abu Dhabi and play huge crowds, and here's a when you work with the troops and do shows for the troops. That's what he goes to all over Afghanistan, Kuwait, and he does shows for them with celebrities. Um, that must be an incredible uh, feeling. But more than that, do you teach like the soldier, like will start, like if I was I know that hopefully this doesn't sound stupid, but if I was a lieutenant or a high ranking official, I would go, Boris, can you teach my guys like fear in combat is something they should have, but can you teach them to focus a little more, like a lot like a lot of athletes go to hypnotists now. Okay, they've been
Mhm.
going to learn, stay focused with the game. You're going to score goals. You know what I mean? Like, do you teach
I actually do that. I've dealt with athletes. It's funny, the NFL guys that I did a show for, it screwed me up a little bit. They showed, this was in North Carolina, show up for a big party, and I was not told that it was a white party, meaning everybody's wearing white. Meanwhile, I came in colorful attire,
Oh,
so
I thought it would be.
I stood
I thought
out a little bit.
you showed up at a clan meeting again. What the hell? Why you go to those clan meetings?
Yeah, but the troops specifically are very gratifying for me, if anybody else. Once these are, I call them kids who fight for something that governments change from day to day, but they stand for more than they even know. And when we were performing for the troops, and I've been all over the world with them, the last one was something called Operation Hot, where we went to Afghanistan and Kuwait, and the ability to show up, and all we wanted to do was raise these kids' spirits. And we're talking, on the average, they're 18 to 21-ish, 18 to 25, where they literally are kids, but they put their lives on the line for somebody like me, which is very appreciative. But they were appreciating us, and we were appreciating them back. And I swear to you, I got more out of going there and getting one or two of those hugs from the soldiers than I probably left on the ground back there myself. So very gratifying. But the ability to teach people, it's a matter of showing somebody. You show them their own ability. You have your own superpowers. You are your own positive person, and everything from work ethic to the ability to believe in yourself translates into your personal health, your attitude. The people that are around you will like you more because you're a happy, fun person rather than a depressing person that I'd rather not be around, where you can change your environment to be what you want to be. So a lot of times it's a matter of even sometimes writing down your own goals and the capabilities and go towards that, right? I find something beautiful about every person. And once you find that beauty, you can bring it out. Even the part that they did not know about, if you remark, hey, by the way, hey, Vito, you're looking good today, right? I may have put a smile on your face, and I started the whole thing. And it creates a different loop, which I was talking about before, that will change the way you are. Right now, people are stuck with, I'm not able to be in front of others, and my job is suffering. Talking about comedians, performers, magicians, mine, it's, I hear a lot of the shifting into a different gear and the ability to do the same thing, but let's say by Zoom, like you're doing, or other platforms. I have on my computer everything from GoToMeeting to MHM, which is the platform, which will allow you to put something behind you to be able to show a PowerPoint presentation, let's say. So just a matter of shifting a little bit to expand your capabilities. And that's what you're looking to do. Find something positive. It may take a little bit of time, but it's available, it's out there. So just looking to make people's lives better. And it's all in the mental attitude. Find the positivity in everything that you see.
Yeah, I think that's yeah, and especially now these days. I mean, with the comedy scene now, I know in the States they're opening up if you know, the clubs or whatever. I think the comedy clubs are, is a show that I did. I remember when you said, when was your last show? There was a show, remember, about 4 months ago, when they said, okay, the curb has gone down, you could start bringing people, like
Mhm.
50 people in the club. So we did a show, but I told the comic, the guy that was emceeing, he said, I'm going to try this new joke about the COVID. And I said, don't. I go, don't. You're going to put it in their head. Like they're here because they want to laugh. Like it's like this, Boris. There was a comic, I'm not going to mention the name, but he talked about uh, uh, a kid getting eaten by a pit bull, right? Now, I think in pictures, I don't find that funny because I got a kid and I would lose my mind if my kid was eaten by a pit bull. So I, that would be in my head, and you've lost me. You've completely lost me. Now I'm like, I don't find you funny at all now. Okay? I don't care what you say, you know, I've got that in my head. So I told the guy, do not say anything about, you know, the virus or anything, because people are here. They're literally 10 feet away from the stage. They're spread, you know, you have to spread them out. We worked really hard to get people here. So don't mention that. The idiot mentioned it, right? And four people got up and walked out. And then in the middle of the show, before I was done, a girl comes up to me and goes, Vito, I'm having a great time, but don't get mad. I just don't feel comfortable right now to be out. Do you mind? You know, I have to leave. And her husband, that I know, he's a great guy. He was like, oh, I'll stay. And I go, no, go with your wife. Like, go with your wife. Go, you know. But I was so pissed off, Boris. I was like, why? Like, you know, you're putting that in people's head already, but now they're thinking about everyone laughing, right? And they're thinking of, you know, ha ha, ha, you know, laughing, and they're thinking the you know, I'm going to get sick. um I think it's going to be a long time before clubs are going to be healthy again, because a lot of people are uh mentally been stuck for a year inside. And then some people, you know, are like, I don't care, I'm going to go out, I want to go out. But then there's going to be some people that are just going to say, no, I'm going to wait until I get my injection or whatever I need before I could go out. And I just think uh any type of live entertainment, be it stand up, theater, anything, reading a book in front of a crowd. I think those live entertainments in a room is going to suffer. What do you think? Because what do you think about that?
I believe everything shifts. With the joke that you were talking about, there's such a thing in comedy called too soon, which I truly believe in a skilled uh, person's performer hands, anything can be delivered. I've seen some of the more outrageous material being delivered so skillfully, no matter how much it was. But comedy is subjective. So some people may find it funny, other people may not. If the joke is hilarious, absolutely. I will be the first one to defend uh, I believe somebody should know how to use comedy and how to use stuff before using vulgarity, for example.
I remember,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
even in the clubs, my headliners when I owned the clubs called Comedywood,
Yeah.
they never got censored, and I booked specifically for the audience, not for me. Even though once in a while I would bring in some outrageous act that would tickle my fancy, but some people may not have agreed. I booked specifically to be catered to and described it before as I want the grandmother and the granddaughter to be in the audience enjoying the show together to be able to. And the acts before the headliners were always asked to keep it clean
Yeah.
because the show keeps moving on. And depending on, as a performer, at times being a clean act, I would have to follow a dirty act. And it takes a lot to bring them back to the level that you want them to, or bring them down and or know what the audience is looking for, find their common ground. But specifically, I did that not for the audience because I loved being able to lead the young performers who were using the club for stage time to be able to work everything from corporates, which want you to work completely squeaky clean,
Yeah.
to be able to have a career. And you can always dirty stuff up, but you can never bring it back to the clean level. So once they know how, then the world's your oyster. But if you're only doing a few minutes, please keep it clean unless that specifically is your type of an act. And I would book it at that portion of the show where it does not interfere maybe with the headliner.
Yeah.
So
I go the same route as you did because what happened was when I started off, you want stage time, and Boris owned several clubs, and I remember, you'd call and say, "Can I perform?" And Boris answered, and I thought it would be like the just like a secretary or like the person who works the front door, but it was Boris, and he goes, "Yeah, you come out, and you could do 5 minutes," and I go, "Okay, thank you, sir. I really appreciate it." And he goes, uh, "Now remember, you have to be clean," and I was like, when he said clean, I thought he meant like I'm gonna shave. I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like I was like, I didn't understand what he meant. And I told another comic, I told Jason Rouse, and he
I
goes,
love Jason. I do, but he's so.
yeah, he's on another planet. But it was the best. He used to sleep. I used to sleep at his place, and then when he was in town playing London, he would sleep at my place to save money and stuff. So he said, "You idiot! It means no swearing." And I go, "No swearing? Get the And he's like, "No swear. Like you cannot swear." And when I went, I was nervous, and I saw Boris, and Boris is like, "Okay, you got 5 minutes and it's clean." And I go, "Okay, I'll go clean." And you go, "You're going to thank me later," because you could see that I was like, I was like, I got to keep this clean because a crutch for comics
Right,
is
which
always
has been quite a bit. I just didn't want vulgarity for the sake of vulgarity. It should
right,
never be a punchline.
right. So when I was done, I was amazed that, it was the first time I did it clean. And Boris was like, you see, if you keep it clean, you see how good that was? And he was right. So when I had my own little room, I would tell the guys, you keep it clean, because I would always have a younger kid, because I wanted mom and dad to come out and have fun. And we don't need to, we could do the triple X show at 11 o'clock. Okay. We could keep it clean.
Yeah, there's a time and a place for absolutely everything like
Yeah.
that. And
You know exactly what I mean. So, and people loved it, because they're sick and tired of every second word, f bleep bleep bleep. Hey, if you're a big name, great. if you're just starting off and you're doing the FF bleep bleep bleep, it's not really going to get you as far as you think it's going to get you, because everybody thinks like Sam Kinison. I could be like Sam Kinison. There's one Sam Kinison. Okay. So you're not going to uh, do that. Be yourself. And if you want to get those gigs that pay money, like corporates, uh, if you're a comic, you're watching this, if you go clean, and you go from making whatever the club pays you, and then you go to a corporate gig, it's night and day. And that's what Boris was trying to prepare a young
Oh, and I'm not completely against vulgarity, but there's a time and a place for that.
yeah.
And a lot of youngsters, for me, at least when I was bringing stuff in, do not know how to use those words properly. You can always inject, and I've had on the stage people who were talking about Sam Kinison. Sam did not swear as much as you would think. However, the choice of material would be sexual, would be everything but he would yell at the audience for not laughing at the stuff, and that's when the vulgarity came in, because it's against you now. We got gloves on, let's go. And if you really analyze how the stuff was delivered, it was just the brilliance of the delivery rather than peppered with vulgarity for the sake of peppering it with the F words and anything else.
Yeah, watch Bill Hicks. I know a lot of you don't know, but watch Bill Hicks, and he's brilliant at. He didn't swear every second word, but the stuff that he was talking about was
very dark.
Yeah, very dark. But man, there's a video of him really quick where he loses it on stage because they kept heckling him, and he just would not back down, and he was just this tiger just attacking everybody, and they were just come on, give it to me. So yeah, I love Bill Hicks. But
I used to perform at Comedy Showcase quite a bit, and Danny Martinez, who was the club owner at that place, would tell stories how he regularly fired Bill Hicks and then rehired him a week later.
When you had the clubs, were they? I couldn't imagine owning a club because of just the headaches. Like it's a lot of work. Can you talk a little bit about how much work goes into having a club?
Are you kidding me? I'll tell you this. I already had a career at the time doing over 300 shows a year. So that should tell you, and having two clubs had me sleeping very little. So the clubs, never mind between booking and ordering beer. One thing I learned was how to delegate and trust people who were taking care of stuff behind the scenes. But also, even with bookings, there's somebody who hasn't shown up or able to get to the place on time. Perfect example was 9/11. I had two comics coming in from New York that day. Mm-hmm. Which I remember very vividly. It was a Tuesday, and that was the beginning of the week. Then I had two clubs at the time, where one was uptown, a 400-seater, and downtown was 200-seater. So these are not tiny rooms. Where dealing with everything from who is coming in today, as far as the wait staff is concerned, to the ability to book people. And I know at the time we were the first ones, and that will date me a little bit more, to put in touch screens into the showroom. So basically people will order in the dark, and the wait staff would run to the screens where they could touch them, the little displays, and the printer would print it out at the bar, and it would be ready by the time they get to the bar to deliver to the wait staff. This is at the beginning of the revolution of technology, where that sped up how quickly in the 2-hour period that the people were there, were able to get their drinks, food, whatever that might be.
Yeah,
Now we
but
can speed it up even more.
yeah, but Boris, the thing is, you're a performer, so you understand what it's like to be on stage and having a waitress, 3 feet away, going, "Okay, so you ordered a rum and coke, and you ordered it," and and you're like, "Sweetie, can you, like, you need to whisper? Can you kind of, you know, you don't need to
Right.
be,
And the
you
wait
don't need to
staff
be a
would be
soprano."
told specific times. Comedy clubs used to have something that comedians always knew. As their final closing line would come in, there's something called the check drop,
Hmm.
where it may ruin their final presentation of their prize material, where the wait staff at the end of the show come out to bring the people the check of what they ordered. So they are discussing at that point in time, instead of listening to the punchline, who ordered what.
Yeah.
So that was called the check drop. And so make sure that everything is timed properly, where the drinks are coming out, where the orders are being taken. We actually opened the club for half an hour earlier, specifically for that, to make sure that people got a chance to order, and there was enough staff on hand to be able to do that. And get the drinks, instead of, let's say, one, get them 2 drinks at a time. So even down to the design of the clubs, I made a point of making sure that there was perfect sight lines from every angle, and no posts were in the way in comparison to any of the other rooms. So yes, I designed everything from the performer's point of view to make sure that the audience and the performer get the best capability. Even the old thing with who's on stage, if you're funny, there's a stage. That was the attitude, rather than I never had any other inkling other than making it the most beautiful place to be at. And it literally was. The only reason it's not there after 10 years, well, one of the clubs I closed after 9/11, and the second club, they doubled my rent. So I chose to walk away instead of keep going.
Yeah, but they were beautiful. They were clean. They were nice. Like, they were always, you could tell that the guy that owned the club, was a performer. It wasn't just somebody that went into business and said, "Let me open up a comedy club." What you said about the sight lines, the food being good, the wait staff having a brain, uh, the doorman, everything. It was the bartender, everybody. It was like a well-oiled machine, and
It had to be.
it had to be.
I was not always there, so to make sure, because keep in mind, I'm on the road, and with the phone in hand, taking care of everything when I get off the plane, to it be in between when I get to the next venue that I was performing at, because I was on the road a lot, specifically at that time, and there's over 1 million miles in the air, so that should tell you as far as how far I've been and to what extent. But it was always there for the love of show business. I had beautiful stuff happen at the club, and the world talked about it. And sometimes they didn't, and that's when I made a point of making sure that they talked. And I sort of created a club for a place for me to stay home a little bit longer. It didn't work that way. Just somehow my popularity at the time grew. TV opened up a lot of doors, but the clubs were there because the neighborhood needed something positive, something to go laugh for. And I brought in the acts that may not have even performed there. One of the big coups was bringing in Jackie Mason for almost 3 weeks to practice up for his Broadway show, or I would bring in everybody from Richard Lewis to the Bobcat Goldthwait to you name it. It's just a matter of, like I talked about Wendy Liebman. She was one of the acts that I brought in for me. Mitch Hedberg, sort of for me, but the audience went crazy about, oh my God, we haven't seen this before.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So when you give people the ability to enjoy something, they associate a good time. And to this day, the club's been closed since 2005. I will still get mentioned, oh my God, I had such a good time there.
Yeah, it was. It was a wonderful. I wish it was. I mean, for me, it was 2.5 hours. So, um, it was one of those things that was a wonderful time. Uh,
It was for me as well.
so yeah, yeah. Anyways, that's but also you also written a book. You can do anything. You could order that online, or
Yeah,
you could go.
absolutely. It's available on Amazon. Now let me.
But also, I'm going to put a link.
There.
There it is. There it is. I love the
Yeah.
cover. The cover alone.
And it's literally about. It's a bunch of recollections of what happened in my life, where when people said you can't, I did, and I really. It's almost a contrarian where. You tell me that's not possible. Let's see if we can make it happen. And I did everything from appearing on TV shows to traveling the world to, you can't open up a comic club. I did, right? So
Yeah.
just a matter of doing something. And it's not, I never did anything because there was money involved. It was more, let's see, how can I advance the world? How can I make it a little bit better by being part of it?
Yeah, but I think it's that Russian in you. I think it's just the Russians are very, like you say, I can't do that. Watch me, you know. I think that's the thing that people forget. I think I honestly believe it's a Russian heritage that you have.
Well, not necessarily a Russian heritage. My parents, and I will be the first to admit it, came to this country with absolutely nothing. And by me daring to succeed is basically proving everything and everybody wrong that was saying you can't. So it was, I don't want to be in the same position when I'm older, and hopefully it advanced me just a little bit because of it.
Yeah, and yeah, that was yeah, it was a polite way of saying, but in reality, he's Russian. He doesn't screw around. So, um, anytime you meet, like when you got a call to do a TV show, like you did big shows, okay? When you got that call to say, we want you to come out and do a TV show, what was that like? Because it wasn't like you would just come out and do, 5 minutes or a 7-minute set. You would literally go out and the show would be you, and they would
Right.
let you do, they would let you do your act. What was that like, getting that and performing in front of a live studio audience, and this is going to be seen by millions upon millions of people all over the world? Didn't that mentally in your head just go like that? I would have shit my pants.
You know what? I'm really good under pressure. I don't know why, but anytime I have that kind of an ability for something that gets you a little bit out of your comfort zone, I thrive on that. So one of the first ones was the Shirley Show, and that's going way, way back. Shirley at the time was the Oprah of Canada. That's what people used to call her, because the show would eventually even go down to the States. And one day they called me up, and this is before I started, when hypnosis was not popular. It was maybe fun, but being a hypnotist was voodoo calling rather than being mainstream. So it wasn't as it was. So I would get the first call I got initially was the Shirley Show. This is after doing a whole bunch of other radio shows. So I was already performing at the time. And they told me that they asked all of the other hypnotists, but what they wanted to do, nobody wanted to do live. And they wanted to experience it live without any prep, anything. they wanted to capture it on film as it was happening. They wanted me to hypnotize somebody and have them do specific stuff. So as a kid, I think I was 20 something at the time, but I was really young and impressionable and willing to tackle any job possible. So when they ask you, can you do it? Of course I can. Hang up the phone. How the hell am I going to do this?
Mhm.
And thankfully it came off without a hitch, but the people that I was up against, who they asked everybody else, were some of the top hypnotists in the world. And they took this young kid who was willing to play under their rules. So that became an hour commercial for me, for no apparent reason other than this was the time where a lot of TV shows would sabotage the people that come on, if you remember, from Jenny Jones's
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
others who unexpectedly would present something else. And thankfully for me, it came out without a hitch. Shirley was wonderful and delivered what I was expecting was to be on a national and international TV show. So that opened up the doors where I was able to show others a clip of what I did on that show. And back then you would put it on a VHS tape and send it away to anybody else who was willing to take a look at it, including club owners.
Yeah.
And so that opened up other doors. Many years later, Montel, they called me to do the same thing, where they would devote a whole hour to me. Right. In the meantime, I would be traveling, and I would, in the morning, as a comedian, the magician traveling, you would know that in the morning you would do a bunch of radio shows, then you might do an afternoon TV, and then later on drive time from 5 till 6, and then you go do 1, 2, or 3 shows that night. Right, that's the standard thing. So I was well practiced to be on television in short periods of time. When you're promoting your show, when you're running straight from studio directly to the club to perform. And like I said, I was doing a lot of shows at the time as well, so it was good practice. And when Montel aired, that was unbelievable as far as the incredible response time. The websites were coming in at that time just a little bit. So they flashed, if you want to know about Boris, go to this site.
Yeah.
And I got literally over 1,000 emails that day, as far as from people congratulating you for work well done to disheartening stories. Well, I need a hypnotist to help me with this.
Yeah.
I replied to all of them at the time, but that opened me up to, wow, this internet thing is actually doing wonders. Let's see what we can do. And one of the things that I found about television specifically, and anything else in my life, networking, where people like you, they like working with you, then they will recommend you to others. If you're not bothersome to work with, if you're delivering on stage, if you are easy behind the scenes as you are on stage, it translates into getting more and more work. And I just loved what I did. So every time somebody invited me onto a stage, I would get to perform. I would absolutely love being there, and people can see if you're enjoying yourself or if you're miserable, right? So a lot of times so once I got a whole bunch of tapes, I sent them to a bunch of agents and to a bunch of people to look at. And I still remember this, Oklahoma City. Somebody canceled, and they invited me to fill in the spot. The spot was Laughs Comedy Club in Oklahoma City. I don't know if it's still around anymore. But after all of those tapes and somebody's cancellation, I did very well on the radio in that city, and the club was sold out to the point where they were turning away 300 people at the door. to come to see me after the club was already full. So people kept coming back trying to get in, and so everybody's dream. I blew the doors off the place where people were loving what I did and they were coming back. Never mind. So people will get out from the first show and get into a line to get in for the second show to
Oh
see the
God,
what I
you're
did again, which is the most amazing thing that any performer can ask for. At the end of the show, that show, so I'm just attributing it to the television part and radio, just media. The club owner is saying to me, okay, that was amazing. When are you available again? We want to book you for 2 weeks at a time now. Right? If they're making money, they want to make some more money. So I'm available this time, and actually I'm often available. So I'll be whatever you want me to. When does the time fit you? So after he booked me for basically 2 more times for that year, it tells me that, yeah, and we're also uh, 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 a bunch of clubs that work together, and Laughs is a chain, but we would like to also refer you to uh, the people at Hyenas clubs in Fort Worth, Dallas, and there's another club, Bahia Hotel, that holds a place there. So basically, at the end of a very successful week that I simply filled in for somebody, I had most of the next year filled up.
yeah.
So that's the reach of television. And the reason I'm saying that is once you deliver, people like working with you. People enjoy uh, not only the show, they enjoy the person behind the scenes that may not ask for much, because I really didn't have anything. Talk about a broke kid that didn't have a penny to rub together. I only wanted to do was work, and somebody would let me on a stage and pay me for it. Are you kidding me? Where are you going to find that job?
Yeah.
This, by the way, is after I quit my computer job and became almost homeless and had to move back in to my parents' place because I didn't have a penny to my name. I was able to make a little bit of a living. So yes, I was just happy to be there.
Those are the stories that I love because real quick. I mean, people were dying to get in to see your show. People were literally dying when they saw my show. They literally an ambulance come
You
away.
killed.
They
Yeah.
were dead. They were like, just stopped. It exploded. So, but I think people enjoy those stories because when you're very truthful when you sit there and say, I didn't have a 2 pennies to rub. I slept, I had to go and I was living at home.
Ooh.
And when people hear that, it helps them because they sit there and go, this guy's successful, he's done this, he's been on TV, he's done that. No, 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 there was a buildup before all that. Okay, it
A
didn't just
long buildup.
like I remember starting off in stand up going, I'll have a TV show in 2 weeks, you know, and the reality is it just it just doesn't really work that way. You gotta there's a bit of luck, but you need skill, and you need something different to give them, and that's what Boris had. He could be what I noticed. I've seen Boris perform several times, and he's funny. There's always all shows are they're different, but he's very charming on stage. Where
And off stage, hopefully, too,
and
right?
yes, off stage you're a very polite, kind person. And what sucks is sometimes I'll interview somebody and I'll just go, they weren't really that what I thought they were gonna be. I don't really like to badmouth anybody like that I interview. I appreciate the interviews. But when I asked Boris before the show, I have a bit of anxiety. He was like, this is what you need to do. He also, if you go to his I'm gonna put a link, and you could go directly to his website. If you're experiencing any type of anxiety, you're feeling down or whatever, anything, reach out to Boris and he'll help you. Okay. And that's something that is, that just shows that you have a good heart, that you're actually a kind person. Cause he spent 45 minutes just talking to me, which he didn't have to. He just said, Vito, let's go. I got things to do. He's like, hey, relax. Okay. Tell me what's
Hey,
going
does
on.
anybody have anything to do these days?
Well, I thought that was a very beautiful thing that
No,
a
absolutely, but
lot of
people are people. I appreciate the nice words. It's just I find the world right now is not falling apart if you listen to the news. It really isn't. It's what you make of it. And a lot of times people are able to give somebody else. It might be a little bit of time. It might be money. It might be, just a little bit of concern. One of the greatest things, I actually started doing this, and not everybody is on the same level as me. I would call up old friends out of the blue and, hey, how are you doing today? Nothing wrong with that. It's just a matter. Yes, they might not be as up to talking uh, as you would expect, but just hearing a friendly voice, somebody who remembers them, just find a person that you haven't thought of in a long time, and hey, how the hell is your life going on? Yeah, we're all doing nothing. I don't have much news to tell you, but I just want a friendly voice.
yeah,
That's all that it takes. And I'll tell you the truth. Not everybody would pick up the phone. Not everybody will be as kind as what they will have an attitude. What do you want from me? But if you want nothing, there's absolutely nothing that they can fault you for.
yeah, that is, yeah. I had a buddy. Yeah, I think calling people and just saying, hey, how you doing? Most people that I call are like, Vito, I don't have money, and and if it's a woman, it's always like that rash is not going away. So, uh, I think it's a kind. I think if you forget to be kind, and I think you got one life. That's it. Make the best of it. But if you're kind, you know, they remember that. And people always remember that.
But it's not only that. You will get more out of it than maybe even the other person. Just like I'm telling you the complete truth about when I went to visit the troops. I got more out of it than some kids who were coming to me saying, nobody comes, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
I was absolutely thankful for their laughter because we were able to just stop the world for them, where they were constantly working and constantly involved with protecting the world on our behalf, and we were protecting it for a few moments at that point in time from us.
Before closing, I just want to say, Boris, I think that um, it's the kindness that they see in you, and it's the passion that you have to. They could see it that this guy really cares and wants the best for you. And I met the same Boris 25 years ago, where he's like, I want you to succeed, kid. I want you to be the best that you could be. And I think that the reason why so many wonderful things that have happened in your life is because of you giving. Whereas where I'm like, I want this, I need this, I need this. Nothing comes of it that way. Um, if you give and you're kind and you care and there's a passion to it, that's the key. And I believe that's why you're so successful. And it's also because you're an incredibly talented man on stage. I've seen people perform and I just go, all right, I've seen them perform once or twice. We've all done this, where if the headliner is performing, you run out, you go watch the headliner, But if you've seen some guys, you watch them one or two, it's the same thing. It's the same act. You're like, But with Boris, it was always like you would run out there just to watch him because you would go, this is going to be entertaining. I could relax now. Uh, I got 45 minutes of just sitting there and enjoying a show where it's positive, it's funny, it's entertaining. I walk out of here and I go, you know what? I'm going back and I'm going to go watch them again. So that's something that you got to sit there, Boris, and say, you're a very humble person, you know, but it's something that you wish if there were more people like that would behave like you, we wouldn't be in this shit that we are now, you know, like where you sit there and go, the news, I can't watch the news anymore, Boris. I can't. Every day, it's just every day, I just sit there and go, this is killing me. You got to turn it off. Well, Boris, there's no pill that you could take well, there is. It's called heroin, but don't do that. If you take a pill, it's going to help you for a little bit. But with the exercises and the skills and the fun that Boris teaches and shows, that's why he's successful, folks. That's why he's uh, done over 10,000 shows all over the world. He's been on, television shows all over the world, not just North America, all over the world. Okay. So that's a weird thing to go to another place where they don't even speak the same language, but they're just enamored with the skill that, you have or he has. So, in closing, hey, you're sitting there going, Vito, you're kissing my ass. I don't need to, Boris. I've seen you perform. I know how good you are. Okay. And you have there's a beauty in you that I wish more people had. And I never thanked you from years ago, saying, afterwards when you said, hey, Vito, you work on this, work on this, work on this, and you'll be fine. And he was right. You work on this, you work on this, you work on this. And he's right. Where you go and work other places, they're like, man, all right, good luck. He actually took the time to explain to you what you did wrong or what you could work on to be better. And if the planet we live on these days, it's such a selfish place. But sometimes you meet somebody that actually gives a shit, that wants to help. I'm not doing a commercial. Okay. I'm giving you a fact. Okay. You can look at his credentials and you could sit there and go, my God, this guy he's the real deal. And I'm so lucky to have him here with me to talk to me is a joy. It made my month, put it that way.
Peter, you're making me blush.
Well, it's true, Boris. I think the amount of shows that you do years from now, people are going to sit there and go, hey man, I had a blast. There was this guy called the Amazing Boris. Do you remember? And people are going to remember that, and it's just, that's what it's all about, and
Thank you, Peter.
I want hopefully one day, go out for drinks or we perform someplace and have fun. Hopefully one day. Okay.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to put a link. Oh, and in closing, anything you want to, I know you got a book, but you got
I got a new book coming out shortly too, and actually relates to this, but the pandemic gave me a little bit more time to hopefully get to help other people. So that's what I'm doing now. Finishing off the book, and the working title is Word Power, but something similar. Still struggling with the rest of it. It's just a matter of how we use words to advance ourselves, to do wonderful stuff and change the internal dialogue to the way you relate the same information to others, how you speak, how much negativity there is in our words, and how to eliminate that. And just by changing a tiny little detail, you can change your thinking to be positive rather than negative. It's that simple.
And do you know when the book is coming out?
I'm looking to start something end of March, which is about a month from now, to coming out early fall. So I would say September, October.
Okay, I guarantee you, I'm gonna any way you autographing it if I
I would
order it.
love to, absolutely.
Okay, I'm gonna order it. You're gonna autograph it for me because I always ask people to autograph the books that I get. I don't have any behind me. I got a couple of hustlers over there, so I need a book to actually help. And if you're having a rough time or whatever, please don't ever feel ashamed. Don't feel that's the worst thing you could do. Uh, talk to people, let them know. And if they don't listen, they don't listen. Screw them. But if you find somebody that listens,
A kind word goes a long way. So yes, do reach out to anybody. I'm available.
okay. I'm gonna put a link to the website and everything so people could bother you and order the book. And also if you he does also do Zoom call, like Zoom meetings, shows. So if your business,
The Zoom stuff actually relates specifically to mental health and stress relief. So if you do have something of that nature, please get in touch.
yeah. So yeah, exactly. So if you're a business and you want that for your employees and get them, okay, Boris is the guy to go to. Okay, Boris, you are incredible, and I
Thank
want
you.
to I want to say thank you so much for your time. It means the world to me. Okay,
It was so nice to talk to you, Vito. Thank you.
thank you, folks. I'm the amazing Vito. Be good. Thank you, Boris.